Hi, how are you today?
This guy is ham roll of the week.
It's time to go!
Get him out, fam. Get him out, blood.
The improved package has arrived. We're having it fitted in time for FP1. Have a look at the factory report.
Oh, what? Wait, was that Chris with some good news? Fair play, mate. What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 52 today for the Belgian Grand Prix in Season 3, and we finally got that third upgrade we were meant to get at the British Grand Prix. Of course, we repaired at the end of last episode that chassis weight reduction, and although it would have come in handy last episode, it's going to equally come in handy here around Spa. Obviously, the first sector, very crucial for straight line speed, and also the last sector, indeed, down that back straight through Blanchimont towards the bus stop chicane. The slipstream is going to be pretty damn important, and with these drag reduction upgrades as well that we had earlier on the season, I think our car could go pretty damn well during the race if we are able to stick to the back of some cars, and we'll just have to see how far up the grid we can get in qualifying, of course. We're going to change over the components, and unlike last episode, I'm going to double check and make sure this time we're not going to be making a mistake on running the older components during qualifying, but we do put in column number 2, so we're 2 episodes in now to the second half of this season, so we should technically be fine to be on the third set of components. So the fact we're able to still squeeze out some performance out of column 2 there for the engine parts during practice at least, and kind of, you know, as we did beforehand with column 1, really eke out every last bit. It's a really good sign. Obviously, we do have that extra 5th column now because of last episode, so we're a little bit, the pressure's a little bit taken off in terms of our reliability, especially for the MGU H and K, which were obviously really wearing out due to the amount of rich mix we were using. And you saw there as I was talking about all of that, Esteban Ocon is presented as our brand new rival for this season, so that's a familiar sign. Obviously, we've had him as a rival at least once in every single season, I think, so far in F1 2017, so nothing different there. And of course, the Force Indians are definitely a team we need to look at, as they've been steadily improving with us, and although they may not be, although they weren't there last episode, around here they may be pretty damn good, obviously in a straight line with the Mercedes engine. But we go through Q1 then, and thankfully for us, there's going to be no kind of qualms there, especially also for Nico Hulkenberg as well, and both of us actually quite equally matched there, so hopefully both of us can go very well indeed as we go through the different sessions. Kimi Raikkonen, the only guy setting a time on super softs there on in Q2 for some reason. He must be running a harder set of compounds in terms of his allocation for this weekend, because otherwise you only get one set for qualifying, so Kimi's already gone and used that. We can see at the moment in Q2 Hamilton on a set of super softs in the top left there. You can see we're qualifying on a set of ultra soft, so we're not going for the usual strategy we have gone for the last few episodes, and the reason why is simply because the weather forecast is showing there's going to be rain at the start of this race, so there is no point kind of using that second softest tyre. May as well go on the fastest tyre available to us if we're going to start on the inters, so that's why we're on the purple wall. You saw we got a bit of a helpful tow actually from a car there down the Kemmel straight, and we come across the line, and it's a pretty decent lap time there, and it just about gets us into Q3 actually. So although it felt decent, the lap was pretty good in terms of the comfortability in the corners. It was only just enough to get us into the top 10. Nico unfortunately knocked out there in P12. So although I was hoping the drag reduction and chassis weight would help us out this race, looks like at the moment still the Mercedes engine is still a little bit too OP for us to overcome there. The Force Indian and Williams car are looking very strong. We come across the line for a first line lap in Q1. Wasn't too in Q3, I should say. Wasn't too amazing. We come through the first corner now on our second flying lap, and you can see I've already gained about 2 tenths and nearly 3 tenths as we're going to go up towards Rouge and then the Kemmel straight. So definitely scrubbed off a bit too much speed in this first sector on that first flying lap, and you're about to see actually the first sector around this lap, for whatever reason, I mean 2 long straight uphill as well, but still for whatever reason this first sector is apparently going to be our strongest sector of this entire race weekend, because we go purple in that first sector. In the second and third we don't go purple. We're still pretty okay on the delta time on the top right, but just I wanted to note that was quite surprising to me at least of why we're purple in the first sector. I would have thought for sure the Mercedes or the Ferrari cars would have had that, and that's going to help us out of course, because the run up to Rouge and then the Kemmel straight is going to be the places where we're maybe making some overtakes this afternoon. So we come across the line. I thought it was a really awesome lap. Unfortunately though, everyone else just turned up the wick even more, and we've only qualified in P8. So a little bit disappointed in that, because I really thought that was a very neat and tidy solid lap for myself. But yeah, as I mentioned before, maybe the top guys just have a little bit extra to turn up the wick. The two Mercedes and two Ferraris going strong, and also Felipe Massa annoyingly going very well here indeed. So hopefully we won't be seeing too much of him in the race, and hopefully he falls back and we're able to overtake him. But you can see just about there is some rain here. Now you can see definitely on this screen the droplets coming down, and we're all on intermediate tyres. Of course, you can see there on the top, on the bottom left there briefly, we are in third place in the Drivers' World Championship, only 8 points off Sebastian Vettel. Valtteri Bottas only 2 or 3 points, I think that was, off Vettel. So we are remaining optimistic. I believe we can try and maybe be a spanner in the works for the Drivers' World Championship. And if we can get a good getaway today, and with the slipstream, who knows what can happen. Let's go to the full grid sequence and then see how this goes.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Massa, Ricciardo, and Renault, Perez, and Esteban Ocon, Grosjean, Hülkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, and Stroll, Kvyat, Alonso, Pascal Wehrlein, and Marcus Ericsson. Van Dorn and Carlos Sainz starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So take a look at the race strategy screen. You can see we're starting off on in the intermediate tyres, but unlike the default strategy suggesting, we won't be going till the end on all sets of inters. It is going to be drying up much before then. Only going to be apparently raining for the first third of this race. So that's going to be interesting to see when that crossover period happens and what tyre everyone goes on, especially for me as well. I'm not really too sure at this stage what tyre I would even try, because obviously it's going to be a bit of a risk maybe if we try and go long all the way to the end of this race. But we're going to fill up on fuel as per usual, and as I said, if we can try and get a good start here in this initial phase of the Grand Prix, you never know what can happen in these very tricky damp conditions. As here we go towards 5 red lights for the Belgian Grand Prix. Round number 12 of season 3 is underway. It's a very cautious start for us, and getting away from Pierre in the grid, squirming around a little bit on the throttle as we go down the inside now, along with Sergio Perez down the inside of 3 cars, then up into P5 on the exit. Sergio Perez looks like he follows through. Yes, Perez up into P6, so both myself and Perez from P8 and P9, I think it was, on the grid, have got up into P5 and P6, so a very good start for both of us there. As you can see, Massa trying to attack, I think, one of the Red Bull cars of Max Verstappen, I think that is. Meanwhile, up ahead, it's the 2 Ferraris, and then the 2 Mercedes cars in 1 and 2 as we barrel down towards the Kemmel Straight. Unfortunately for us, though, now, this is going to be a bit of a settling down period in the race, and nothing much else happens until we get towards lap 4, which eventually is going to be the point where everyone feels like it's time to cross over, at least for our race leaders. It is definitely time, as Bottas is in and Kimi Raikkonen as well, both going on to a set of super soft tyres, you can see there. And as we come in now on that same lap, just a little bit down the road, we did lose some time obviously to those top 4 guys. We did a good job though at holding up Perez and Massa and the Red Bull, you can see in the train behind us, that comes in at the same time as us on lap 4 here. So we're going to strap on also a set of super soft tyres. My engineer has told us the strategy is going to be basically another second stop later in the race for another set of these tyres. So one more stop this afternoon for the same set. I'm not too sure what everyone else is going to do. There may be a chance others may change their strategy. We've seen in the past maybe some of the AI being inclined to go on the harder or softer tyres and have been able to take it as long as I can, so we'll have to see about that. But we come out the pit lane now down towards Rouge. We're right behind one of the McLaren cars of Stoffel Van Dorn, and we're going to have to make a pass here. Rich Mix round the outside, up the hill. Very, very awesome move there, actually. So close on the right-hand side. And that was really satisfying to make. And now we're in rich mix and we'll plough on now. A lot of clean air ahead of us, you saw. Meanwhile, not so much. The same can be said for Bottas and Raikkonen as Bottas goes down the inside of the Force India. And the Force India has got sent wide, because look at that. He holds up the Haas and Raikkonen. And so Raikkonen's going to lose a lot of time. It's Esteban Ocon, of course, because Perez came in at the same time as us. So it looks like as Bottas went down the inside of Ocon, he just kind of locked up or lost some grip there. And so Raikkonen's going to lose a few seconds being held up. Meanwhile, up ahead, Hamilton is into the pits eventually, along with Sebastian Vettel. So, of course, these two went 1 lap longer than their teammates. Of course, they can't come in at the same time. Rarely do the AI double stack, really, in this game. So, Vettel's in now. I imagine Hamilton will be strapping on a set of super soft tyres, as well as Sebastian Vettel. At least definitely confirming here that Vettel is on a set of super softs there. And I would imagine the same for Hamilton. Yes, it is, it looks like. And then the Red Bull car in. So, it looks like we're comfortably going to be ahead of the 2 Red Bull cars for now in this this first stint, or second stint rather, obviously a very short first stint on the intermediates, as they're still only coming into their pit box. You can see Raikkonen just comes out in turn 1 there, so Vettel has jumped Kimi Raikkonen, it looks like, because I believe Vettel was P4, Raikkonen was P3, of course, as we're catching up to Vettel down the Kemmel Straight on the opening lap. So Vettel's done really well to make that overcut work, and surprisingly, probably to Kimi's surprise as well, Vettel found enough time on that outlet, on that in-lap, on the intermediates, when it definitely was time to come in for the dries, to jump him there. So Raikkonen's now P4, Vettel P3, I believe then it's Valtteri Bottas still in P1 actually though, and Hamilton P2. So Bottas and Ocon holding up Raikkonen maybe did hamper him quite a bit there, to the point where now he's P4, not P3. But as we move through the laps then, on lap 7 you can see a lot of purple laps being traded there between the two Mercedes cars and Sebastian Vettel. So those guys really flexing their muscles, and we're just kind of very lonely at the moment in P5 in no man's land. We move now later, focusing on Valtteri Bottas. He's in P1 at the moment, leading Lewis Hamilton there. Obviously, we mentioned he kept P1 there from the initial getaway of this Grand Prix. Oh, no! Oh, he's got an issue. He's got a puncher down the Kemmel Straight. Valtteri Bottas with a left rear puncher, and he's surely not going to continue on. He's got a wheel off the ground there on the front right, and now he's parked up in a very dangerous position. Hamilton takes the lead this Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel up into second place. Raikkonen will get third then eventually, and it's yellow flags here being called out, and Bottas still stricken here. We just about narrowly miss him actually. We actually got very, very close to tapping him, and the same can't be said for the Red Bull car. One of them there smashes the back of Bottas, and Bottas tries to continue on, much like Hamilton did in 2014 when there was a puncher at that same area of the track. Of course, though, this wasn't caused by any contact between teammates. Bottas seemingly just ran over debris, maybe, I think it was, on the main straight down the Kemmel Straight up the hill, and that's really, really unfortunate for the Finn for the second time now in 2 episodes. Bad luck for him, of course. Actually, no, I say 3 times in 3, because obviously at the British Grand Prix he had an engine issue, at the Hungarian Grand Prix some sort of engine issue, and then today it's not an engine issue, just a puncher. Really, really unfortunate for Valtteri Bottas. Meanwhile then, we move then later into the race. It's Sebastian Vettel trying to fight Lewis Hamilton, although I say fight, it's really just effectively an overtake into turn 1 then, and Vettel into the lead of this Grand Prix, from Hamilton to Raikkonen to myself up in P4. So although we've gained 1 position for the championship, you must say, okay, good that Bottas now has had an issue for us, but Vettel P1, 25 points in the bag if he gets this position, and obviously P4, that'll be 12 points for us. So we need to kind of hope for some more fighting between these guys, and we may just get it, as Kimi Raikkonen now, a man on the charge as of late in this season. You guys have mentioned that in the comments below. He appears to have a huge resurgence now in these last few episodes, and he may just be on a mission to try and take the lead of the championship from what is down in P5. Of course, he is the reigning world champion here from season 2, so he's unable to quite make an overtake through Blanchimont and down that back straight to the bus stop chicane, and he's right up the gearbox over Lewis Hamilton. So you must probably predict that he's going to make a move into turn 1, or eventually Rouge probably, to get this into P2. And here we go into turn 1, the same move that his teammate Sebastian Vettel made just a lap or 2 ago, and he's down the inside on the exit, a little bit of squirming, but he's up into P2, and now he's got plenty of clean air to go chase after his teammate. But it is a 1-2 for Scuderia Ferrari, so Ferrari really flexing their muscles and showing that R&D advantage they have, because of course they have got unlucky in the last few rounds, and of course the entire season really. But if you look at the R&D charts, they're actually quite a big chunk ahead of Mercedes, so technically on paper their car should be dominating these races with 1-2s. So Raikkonen comes in, looks like he's on a set of soft tyres, and we're going to get confirmation that Vettel also goes on a set of soft tyres. So I mentioned earlier that I'm going to go onto a set of super softs, and my engineer is recommended that strategy for me, but it looks like the AI, or at least the top guys, are thinking slightly differently. As you can see here, we continue on, and we just come out ahead of Vettel, so Vettel's got an entire pit stop on us there, as we're yet to make our second pit stop of the afternoon, and we do eventually come in on that same lap later, lap 14, in for a set of super soft this will be. But interesting, the split strategies, I don't know, could work out for us. I don't know how much time we're going to gain on super softs versus soft tyres. Maybe I'm being a bit too hopeful because we are a whole pit stop behind, but, you know, keep faith. If those guys are fighting and having 3 wide battles or side-by-side moments, they could hold each other up enough, maybe, potentially. And so we are onto a set of super softs. We come out, plenty of clean air ahead of us and also behind us this will be, as we come out the pit lane now, and we basically just go on as we have been and just try our hardest to try and catch up. We've got plenty of rich mix to use, So we'll just try and go flat out as we can with, you can see Grosjean there in P5 on the top left on the heads-up display. So Grosjean done a fantastic job to be ahead of both the Red Bull cars. I thought the Red Bulls were going to be the ones behind us, but no, Grosjean doing a fantastic job there, and seemingly Perez falling back a little bit as we now move later into the race. This top fight between the two Ferrari cars. It's Raikkonen in P2 going for the move for P1 for the lead of the Grand Prix. Down the inside, Vettel will try and fight back. There's a bit of contact made on the left as the hand of anger goes up in the cockpit for Raikkonen, but he has got it up into P1, and so the Ferraris have switched position. They're nose to tail really, and so you can see Hamilton nowhere to be seen, so they're really dominating this race. But Raikkonen, that's good for us to see. He's up into P1, demotes Vettel down to P2, so a few less points for him to get in this race if he finishes up in P2, as we're in P17 now, and yellow flags have been called out. Sergio Perez mentioned he was falling down the order. That's why he's now out of this race, so he must have had an issue, and eventually he's retired, and the full safety car is out. So this could be a huge deal for us. This could really help us out. We're looking at a replay now of Sergio Perez. So he was going very slowly, and now it looks like he's, going to park up there. So as I suspected, the reason why he was falling back was he had an issue in the car, and eventually that forced him to retire. And I'm not going to lie, very surprising that caused the safety car, whereas Valtteri Bottas's incident did not. So bit of a weird one there for the FIA and Charlie Whiting. But we're on we're in lap 19 now. We're in P4, Hamilton P3, Vettel P2, and Raikkonen P1. But the full safety car here now, with only 4 laps to go, including this one we're on, so 3 laps by the time we go round for the end of the safety car period, we could really capitalise. I'm very confident on super softs versus soft tyres. On the restart, my tyres are going to heat up so much faster. I'm very confident we could try and jump Hamilton here. And then, I don't know, with the slipstream and plenty of rich mix now, obviously we've been lean mixture for the safety car. We've got a lot of fuel to burn. We know how good the Renault engine can be. Drag reduction upgrades. We know how good the car can be in a straight line with some slipstream. Let's see how we go here. With 3 laps to go, rich mix and the slipstream, and pretty much nothing to lose, let's be honest, in the Renault car versus a Mercedes and Ferrari. Let's just go for it. Into turn 1, getting as close as we dare to the gearbox of Lewis Hamilton, sizing up this move as we get a pretty decent exit. Hamilton obviously charges off with the initial power advantage of the Mercedes car, but you can see we're already gaining slipstream up the hill, gaining even more, and then down the Kemmel straight, right up the gearbox, move to the left-hand side, get into that clean air. Hamilton has got nothing to fight with. Rich mix working an absolute treat here. No DRS here, has not been activated quite yet after the safety car restart, and we're up into P3, and we've just overtaken Lewis frickin' Hamilton at the Belgian Grand Prix, and now we'll chase after Sebastian Vettel. The gap remaining pretty much the same to me and Vettel, and you can see Hamilton still very much on the back of our gearbox. We even have a bit of a tank slapper on the exit. They're having to go opposite lock to control the car, and Vettel gets away from us a little bit, so the gap's extended, but we're keeping our foot in, down the back straight towards Blanchimont. We're in the slipstream, bit of a long-range slipstream here, but towards Blanchimont then, gaining even more through the left-hander, and we move to the left-hand side, and it's straightlinespeed.com/OP for us in the Renault car, and we're up into P2. That is absolutely sensational. The amount of speed we gained on Vettel was literally just illegal. The amount of speed that was. We were so far back. We lost some time on the exit of that right-hander to Vettel, but we just gained it so rapidly back through the left-hander of Blanchimont. It was ridiculous, and now Hamilton may be looking to overtake Vettel, so this may work out for us even more as they go up the hill towards the Kemmel straight. Hamilton in the slipstream now. Looks like Vettel struggling for some straight-line speed, and Hamilton gets up right up the gearbox of that Ferrari car. He's going to move to the inside, the right-hand side of this circuit. They'll turn to the outside, so Vettel may be able to put up a fight. We're on board now with this kind of awkward camera angle from Hamilton. Can't see much of what's going on, but I think there was some contact made there. But Hamilton kind of shoves Vettel a little bit off into the curbing, and he's up into P3, and so that's fantastic news for us. Vettel's lost 2 positions in the span of an entire lap there, and so we're going to come home in 18 points this may be, and Vettel is going to get 12, so we're going to gain quite a bit in the championship standings there, although I say hopefully so, because we're still having to do a bit of fighting and defending potentially as we're on lap 22 now at the end, the last sector of this Grand Prix. Kimi Raikkonen is definitely going to win this Grand Prix, but will Hamilton have a chance to overtake us? He's in the slipstream now as we go down the back straight. We're in rich mix. We've got plenty still to burn, so hopefully we can keep this through. And unlike season 2, Hamilton, it's actually deja vu actually. Hamilton was the one fighting us in season 2 at this Grand Prix as well at the end here. Unlike season 2 actually, we don't have to do any defending into the bus stop chicane, and so we will come across the line for for a fantastic P2 at the Belgian Grand Prix. Kimi Räikkönen, the one taking the win here around Spa. And as you guys have mentioned in the comments below, Kimi really on a charge now in this championship, looking to try and claw his way back into the fight. I still think he'll be in P5 in the Drivers' Championship, because that's how many points and how much bad luck he was getting at the start of this season. But if he's continuing at this rate of getting wins after wins and consistent podiums, he's going to be there. But for us, a fantastic Grand Prix for us for the championship. P2, Vettel down in P4, Hamilton is the one Mercedes car on the podium, and Bottas scoring no points in this race. It's going to mean, as we move on to the race standings, you can see there the full race results. Nico Hülkenberg able to get P8 there in this race. But to the standings now, we're only 2 points off Sebastian Vettel for the Drivers' World Championship on round 12 of this season. If it wasn't clear last episode, it is clear this episode. We shouldn't count ourselves out of this fight. Yes, we're in a slower car, and yes, we're getting a little bit lucky at the moment, but, you know, at the moment, there's no signs of this luck ending at the moment, and it just seems like these guys are tripping over one another, really, in this championship so far, and it means we're in very lofty heights at the moment, splitting Vettel and Bottas there. And you can see, as I mentioned, Räikkönen, even after those 2 wins on the trot then from Hungary and Spa, he's still only in P5, so he was so far back in terms of points. I think he could win multiple races in this season for the rest of the season. He still wouldn't even be in the top 3 for the championship, so that's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out for the remaining 8 rounds. Meanwhile, the constructors, Ferrari now have overtaken Mercedes, so they gained on Mercedes at the Hungarian Grand Prix, but now they're just about ahead of Mercedes, but only a couple of points there. So great stuff there for the Scuderia. We're in 3rd place, as we mentioned, really too far ahead of Red Bull for them to be a trouble, but a bit too far back from Mercedes and Ferrari to maybe hopefully try and catch them. So that's why I'm saying we're probably focusing now, honestly, on the Drivers' Championship. I think Nico and myself are doing a good enough job where we kind of secured 3rd place almost already. And so now we move to the end of this race, and it's time now to think about some upgrade. We're going to go for the major weight reduction upgrade here. So that's going to come at the Japanese Grand Prix in 4 weeks' time. So yes, that's a long time to wait, but we now know the drag reduction upgrade proved that the major upgrades are the huge ones that really make the big difference in this car, and the big difference to the rest of the guys and the AI around us. So I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to, you know, I don't mind waiting till the Japanese Grand Prix, because of course Japan's going to be quite a crucial race for us. The AI are generally quite strong around Japan, so that's going to be a good place to have that upgrade come in. But you can see the season's gone very well so far, and we're being super consistent now, and we've had an absolute fantastic run in the last 3 episodes. And so let's see if we can continue that in the next episode, guys. If you have enjoyed this one though, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.